This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, this is Notary Gals. My name is Phyllis Trailer and I'm here with.
Michelle Riley from the state of Alabama. It's good to see everyone again.
Thank you, Michelle. It's good to be here with you. So today we're going to be talking about a an article that Michelle found on. I have to laugh because the article. You guys understand this once you hear the story. But the article, and Michelle, jump in anytime I'm trying to
Isn't
explain this
isn't it a
article.
doozy? Isn't it a doozy?
It is. I almost can't even talk about it because when I think about it, I start laughing.
Hey,
But
Phil,
go ahead.
before you jump in, I do think we should let the viewers know that this article came out in 2015 in
Mhm.
the Tampa Bay Times newspaper. And the title is Notary Blamed in Marriage Fraud Case. So, Phyllis, you know me, I'm long winded. Can you just summarize it and we'll make sure that we attach a link to the entire article in the comments so that folks can read the whole story?
Okay, Michelle. I'll try not to be too long-winded on this one, but you have to give some context.
Okay,
So the so
so
in Florida, a notary can marry a couple, a man and a woman. So we need to get that out there because all states don't allow notaries to do to solemnize marriages, but Florida does. In Texas, we can't do it as a notary. So we'll get that out the way. But the way they do it is similar, I would imagine, to how they do it in Alabama. So maybe Michelle, you can give a little context
okay.
on how you guys do marriage licenses or do the marriage ceremony in Alabama.
Sure.
The notaries do it.
It really isn't a ceremony that we do, but you're right, Phyllis. There are similarities. Now, in 2015, notaries had nothing to do with people getting married. But you're right, now we do. And so everyone who wants to be married in Alabama must meet with a notary public first. In fact, it has to be in Alabama notary public. And then the couple goes to the probate office in the county where they're located and will then receive an approved marriage certificate. So that's Alabama. And apparently in Florida at this point in time, couples could meet with a notary first to notarize their signatures on the marriage license. And then once that was turned into the authorities, then they would get a marriage certificate. That's what I got from the newspaper. I see you nod your head. I may have
Well,
missed
see,
a.
I said, well, because I'm really not sure about the process. Because, like I said, in Texas, that's just something that we can't do. But in this case, the notary, the groom took the marriage document that required notarization to the bank to have the bank notary notarize the signature of the groom and the bride. However, the bride was not present.
Where was the bride?
The bride was in the hospital. So she wasn't even present. She wasn't available. She couldn't get there. She was in the hospital.
And Phyllis, not only was she in the hospital, she had no plans on marrying her boyfriend. She was in the hospital having a baby, having their baby, but had no plans in marrying this person. Um, but yet and still, boyfriend wanted to get married, right?
Yeah, so he got the documents, the marriage documents. He also got two witnesses, and they all went to go see the notary at the bank to get that marriage document notarized. And the notary at the bank claims he did not realize that he was marrying the couple when he notarized the signatures. But even if he didn't realize that, you know, to me that's a mute point because he still notarized the signature of somebody that didn't physically appear before him. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's You're not in trouble because you didn't realize you were marrying them by notarizing these signatures. You're in trouble because you notarized a signature of somebody who didn't physically appear before you. I mean, that's the whole problem, with this. And to me, it just brings to mind how notaries are notarizing signatures without really knowing what they're doing. Because some documents that you're going to be notarizing signatures on need to be, are handled differently than others, but every document that you notarize a signature, that person has to physically appear before you. And that was the big thing where this lady was in the hospital, so she wasn't there. So I
You
don't know why he thought it was okay to notarize her signature.
Phyllis, this is one reason why I flinch whenever I hear a notary say, I don't care what the form is. All I'm focused on is verifying their identity. I flinch because I find if I at least scan the document, read the title, marriage license, ding, ding, ding. Oh, okay. So there should be two people standing before me, and the two people should be the couple, the bride and groom, the groom and groom, whomever. There ought to be two people who are getting married. And then Phyllis, again, we're not Florida notaries, but don't they have to take an oath or a vow or something if they're doing this? So that should have again reminded the notary, wait a minute, the bride isn't here to say whether it's I do or I swear or I affirm. Yeah, I feel that notary had multiple times to say, time out, boyfriend, something's not right here. Or, you know what? Let me ask another notary. Let me check with someone else and get them to tell me if it's okay for the bride to be missing or not.
And something else too that kind of I don't know, when I'm doing training and when I'm working with I have a notary patron group that are Texas notaries that are continuing their notary education. And my thing is I'm always pushing, hey, if you're not sure about something, look it up. Go to the Texas Secretary of State's website and take a look to see if you can find that information on their website. So I'm thinking, okay, if I'm a notary and I'm not familiar with something, then I'm gonna go to the the Secretary of State's website, just to take a look at what they might have on something that I'm not familiar with. And so I went to Florida's Secretary of State's website. They have a handbook just for notaries doing marriages. You
Wow.
know, the handbook this happened in 2015, I think you said. That
Yeah.
handbook is dated 1999. So
Okay.
to me, there's no excuse. I mean, the handbook is in a PDF format, very easy to read, step by step instructions. So I'm like, well, how could you? I mean, everything was there for you to do this if since you decided to take this on,
All right. Let me
you know.
play devil's advocate. What if the notary felt, well, I didn't know, and my employer didn't provide that PDF document to me? Yeah. So, what do you say to a notary who notarizes during the day at their job that my employer should have told me this or should have provided this information to me?
I say, I go back to Texas laws, and in Texas, even if your employer is the one that paid for your notary commission, you're the commission notary. That commission belongs to you, it doesn't belong to your employer. So it's up to you to learn what you can and can't do as a notary. Your employer does not have the right really to tell you what you can and can't do as a notary. They can't make you do something that's against the law. You it's up to you to learn what you can and can't do. Because you're the one that's responsible. And I saw in the article where the bride is suing both the notary and the employer. You
Wow.
know, So even if you're in Texas, even if your employer is the one that pays for your notary commission, the notary is ultimately the one responsible for every signature that they notarize.
Yeah, even in Alabama, our code is clearly states we, the notaries, are financially responsible for our mistakes. And granted, there may be some companies who will come to their employees' assistance, but you best believe, I bet there are some employers who may not, especially if the notary was negligent. And I'm no lawyer, but what this notary did, whoa, that was not a small mistake.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's not. I mean, that was like notary 101. You
yes,
know, you don't notarize for somebody that's not physically there before you. I mean, that is just the basics. I mean, if you don't know that, you have no business, notarizing signatures. You're not doing the notary profession any favors by not knowing what you're supposed to be doing. It just kind of degrades our profession when you don't even take the time to learn what you can and can't do.
I get the impression that for some notaries, it's hard for them to refuse to do a notarization. They want to be helpful. They don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or offend someone. But in this instance, the right thing to do would have been for the notary to say to the boyfriend, congratulations on your plans to be married. Where's the bride? Where's your fiance? And as soon as the boyfriend said, oh, she's at the hospital, that should have been it. Well, once she's out of the hospital, come back. I'll be happy to help you. Or if you want me to find you a traveling notary that can go to the hospital and take care of this for you, I'll be happy to. If that notary network, that's one of the benefits of networking with other notaries. You mentioned your patron community. I bet you all members of your community refer work to each other on a regular basis. But um, yeah, the notary could have avoided this headache um, within 5 minutes of the boyfriend and the witnesses showing up. Um, that lawsuit you mentioned, I hope the notary had errors and omission insurance. If not, based on what I know about E&O insurance and bonds, I'm a licensed insurance agent in Alabama and in Florida and Texas. Um, if he didn't have that E&O insurance, then he's on his own. The girlfriend simply had to file a lawsuit against him in small claims or large claims court, and it yeah, he's on his own,
Yeah.
totally on his own. But if he had E&O insurance, he could have called the insurance company, cried, boo-hooed, I messed up, and at least been able to get a lawyer appointed to him to represent him and hopefully minimize the damage and at least guide him through this big headache. And it's really up to that insurance company whether they will even pay a claim like this. Just because you have E&O doesn't mean you're off the hook. This borderlined on negligence. So that insurance company may have paid, but contractually they could have said, oh no, we're not even jumping in on this one.
Well, I kind of think that he should have just let them know that he was not familiar with that type of document and just told them that, at this time, we're not able to assist you, and just, left it alone. But then it goes back to what you said earlier, that there are some notaries out there that don't want to refuse the notary services. But if it's something that you're not familiar with, you're not comfortable with, it is best to go ahead and just let them know, I'm not familiar. I don't know how to do this. I think you will be better served with somebody that's familiar with this type of notarization versus moving forward with something and you don't know what you're doing and you're not willing to take the time to do any research on it, because the research on that one was pretty minimal. I mean, basically, all he had to do was go to the Secretary of State's website. I mean, it took me less than 2 minutes to find that handout, not even a whole minute. to find that handout on marriages in Florida. And like I said, it's so simple and easy to read, with step by step instructions. So it's almost like, other than I can't see any other excuse other than negligence in this particular instance.
You're right. The way the article reads, it doesn't sound as if the boyfriend or the witnesses tried to trick the notary. I was looking for that. I thought at first maybe the witnesses pretended to be the bride. I didn't get that impression at all. It sounds as if that boyfriend went in knowing what he was doing. And it also, I got the impression there may have been some familiarity between the boyfriend and the notary. I could be wrong, but I agree with you, Phyllis. There's just no reason why the notary could not have quickly, firmly said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And we don't, maybe in some states you have to explain why. I know I rejected a notarization this morning. There were many layers to it, power of attorney, selling property, and all. And I'm familiar with power of attorney notarizations, but I'm also aware those they can take more time, and there are layers to that. And so
Hmm.
I simply said to the caller, you know what? That's not a notarization that I'm comfortable doing for you. I'm not the best notary for you for that notarization, is how I worded it. I'm so
Hmm.
sorry. And she said, you know what? I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you anyway. And
Hmm.
moved on. I could have gone, I could have accepted it, got there, and then felt like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassed and look like I don't know what I'm doing. No, ask these questions up front when you're on the phone with the caller. Vet every call. What type of form is it? And what type of ID will you be showing or presenting? And that way you can not only know whether to accept it, you can also be able to give a more accurate quote for your services if you choose to move forward with it.
Agree 100%, Michelle.
So, did we leave anything? Is there anything else about this story that you think we should cover?
Yeah, this one thing I thought about too is like a lot of times I know this when I was doing mobile notary work is that, I don't know about the boyfriend in this situation. I don't know if he was trying to do something or if he wasn't trying to do something, somewhat underhanded. But, I think about one one thing that I did think about was how sometimes people would act like they were in just such a hurry to get something done, you know, and that can kind of throw the person that's notarizing the signatures, that can throw them off a little bit because they feel like, okay, I got to hurry up and get this done so they can get out of here and go on with their day, and I don't know if maybe he could have came in with that type of attitude too, that, I need to hurry up and get this done, which in a way, it tries to eliminate the possibility of additional questions being asked, people really paying attention to what they're doing.
I'm so glad you
So,
brought that up. I'm so glad you
mhm.
brought that up. I agree 100%. I think most or many notary errors take place when folks are in a hurry. Those who are listening and you're a notary signing agent, you know when you have booked yourself back to back and you know you need to move on and get to that next appointment, those are the times when you overlook an initial. or a signature. So I agree that being in a hurry um, can increase the chances of errors. And so it's important that the notary take charge of the meeting, the signing. You just slow them down. We'll get it done. I need to check everything. Do not let anyone rush you. And Phyllis is right. In some instances, it could be a tactic on the part of the signer, especially if the signer is up to no good. That for sure. Were you done there? Because you made me think of something else, Phyllis.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. What else
The
did you think about?
way I'm proud of the bride. She did not. She was not comfortable just being a victim. She
Hmm.
notified everybody in
Hmm.
Florida, governor's office, secretary of state's office, the newspaper. Now this is 2015. Now folks have TikTok, Instagram, um, YouTube to tell their story. And those of you who are watching, our integrity, our reputation, it will be at stake when we make an error of this magnitude. So it's financial, then the reputation. That notary was arrested for this because there was enough evidence to charge this notary with a felony charge of false, fraudulent acknowledgement by a notary. Now, after the investigation and all was completed, the charge was dropped, but still he lost his notary commission, and that's still a
And his
strike.
job.
Oh,
And he lost his job.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
so,
he lost a lot,
yeah, yeah.
for just not really paying attention. So I mean, I've heard people say, I'm just a notary, but a notary, a lot comes with being a notary. A lot of responsibility comes with being a notary. And it's basically all on you, the notary. Whether you pay for your commission or whether your employer pays for your commission, you are ultimately responsible for every signature that you notarize. So you need to know what you're doing. And if it's something that you're not sure about, you don't know how to do, then just don't do it. Just it's okay to say no, like Michelle said earlier. It's okay to say no because you don't want to be, you know, in one of these newspaper articles. You don't want to be the topic of discussion of what not to do, because that just reminds us of what what not to do. And I don't know if there is a journal requirement in Florida or not. I would love to see that journal entry. I'm like, how did you enter that into your journal? It would be interesting to see how that was done. You
You're
know,
right. Because making a journal entry will prompt the notary, oh, wait, I don't even have this person's ID and to sign. And so that the journal, some folks are like, oh, I don't want to be bothered. But it's another way to help the notary dot our I's, cross our T's.
well, also the journal is a way to cover yourself. Period. I mean, that's to look out for us, the notary. You know, I mean, take the time, even if your state doesn't require you to have a journal, you should have one and you should be using it on every single notarization. You know, in Texas, we are required to have them, thank God. And I always tell all my students, use that notary journal. That notary journal is for you. It's required in Texas, but I tell you, it's the greatest memory jogger. You know, if you use it correctly. I've been
I
called to court once, and the first thing I did when I got called was made sure that my notary journal was available because it was definitely going to court with me because I know that every notarization that I ever do is going to be logged in my journal. So, and this one was an easy one. You know, it
You
was
know what? That's one story I haven't heard you share. So, what about us talking about that in our next Notary Gals? You got called to court once. I got called once and almost got called the second time. It might be good for us to share our experiences because I don't know about you. That first one really shook me up.
you know, I was a little nervous, but you know, I knew I hadn't done anything, and I also knew uh, the the people that I had notarized the lady's signature. I mean, I already knew that there was nothing that happened, you know, so I wasn't really, you know, that worried about it.
All
I mean, I
right.
already, yeah, the attorney talked to me, the guy that hired me, you know, we all talked and everything, and I was pretty comfortable. I wasn't really shook up about it.
Well,
I guess
let's
go ahead, but we can talk about it the next time.
later. Yeah, let's talk about it
Yeah.
next time.
Okay then. So that's what we wanted to share with you guys today was this this interesting article, and of course another example of what not to do as a notary.
Phyllis, you mentioned your patron community. If there's someone watching who wants more information about that, how can they get that information? Where should they go for that?
There, the we're gonna I'm gonna have the information posted down in the description section of the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So I'll have our information there, your information there, my information there, so they can just go and take a look at it down in the description. And they'll
All right.
have links to our websites, our individual websites, email addresses, and also information about our different communities, our different Facebook groups. We are busy. So you'll have information where there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to reach either one of us.
Well, listen, it's been a while since we've gotten together like this. I'm really glad you suggested it. It's great seeing you. I look forward to seeing you for the next one. So I'm going to have to dig out my old journal so that I can remember those two situations I want to talk about. So looking forward to
Okay.
that.
Sounds good, girlfriend. I'm looking forward to it too.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll see you again on the next Notary Gals video.
Bye bye.